Welcome to Transform Now, a podcast focused on intelligent automation and brought to you by SS&C Blue Prism. On this program, we talk about how organizations globally are rethinking the way they operate, utilizing process orchestration and AI-enabled digital workers to free up humans to do the work that matters most. We also share insights and tips on how you can embrace this new way of working and unleash your full potential. Let's get into the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Transform Now podcast. I'm Michael Marchuk.
And I'm Brad Hairston.
And this is our weekly pulse check on automation and AI news. Now, before we jump into this, all the links to the articles that we'll be covering today are going to be in our show notes. So, Brad, let's jump into our first article today from VentureBeat. The title of this article is OpenAI Scientist Noam Brown Stuns TED AI Conference. 20 seconds of thinking worth 100,000 times more data. And this article is covering their new O1 model from OpenAI and the way that it approaches the thought processes it goes to give you an answer from a prompt. So tell me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, this is a really interesting piece. Noam Brown, who is one of the lead researchers at OpenAI, he kind of earned his notoriety by developing the AI called Cicero, which mastered this game called Diplomacy. I'm not a gamer, so you may know Diplomacy, Michael. I don't. But that was where he kind of got some notoriety, and now the real center post of this article is around this idea of what they call System 2 thinking. So Brown is instrumental in leading this movement where they're saying we need to actually slow down the decision-making by AI and use a level of reasoning that mirrors how humans approach complex problems. And so he uses this example that by slowing down a decision by AI by 20 seconds, it's the equivalent of giving it 100,000 times as much data and training. That's the impact that it can have by just slowing it down, that the decision-making can be more precise. They're seeing better accuracy, but also they're finding that by doing this, they can use data and use resources more efficiently and allow companies to get more impact from AI and address the topic of scale. Scale is in fact, I'll read a quote. The incredible progress in AI over the past 5 years can be summarized in one word: scale. The main difference is the scale of the data and the compute that goes into it. So I think System 2 thinking is all about mitigating the challenges that companies are going to have in terms of having to feed so much data and use so much compute resource. So it's a fascinating topic. I think, I'd never heard that concept, System 2 thinking, until I read this article. This seems like the right guy to approach it based on some of the success he's had with the products he's developed. And now they've basically built that type of thinking, System 2 thinking, into their O1 series models, which they launched just a month ago. So we'll see how the market reacts to them and how they get the benefit of this new approach to AI-driven decision-making.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too, because that shift towards the System 2 type of thinking could definitely increase the accuracy or the complexity of the responses that are provided back based on the requests made.
Uh-huh.
But one of the things that I mentioned at the end of this article is that right now, implementing O1 with their System 2 thinking is very expensive.
Yes.
Compared to running some of their other models, which are streamlined and have been optimized a little bit more. This is extremely expensive compared to some of their older models. They get better results, but as you mentioned, it comes at a cost. So interesting to see where this might lead us as they optimize this further as we go forward. Now, stay on the whole OpenAI train here. PC Mag had an article called, the title of this article is OpenAI's Whisper, Experiencing AI Hallucinations Despite High-Risk Applications. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar, OpenAI's Whisper is their translation or transcription kind of service, if you will, capability. And this service has been rolled out into the healthcare space and has started to take on a very important role in a number of hospitals as they start seeing some of the benefits. Because transcription just in general from a doctor's perspective or hospitals, but they tend to send that stuff out, and it costs them money for people to do this transcription to get the notes. So the obviously choice is to go into AI and make this less expensive and more rapid, etc. But they're running into some problems. Tell us what the article talks about.
Yeah, this one's concerning. I mean, one researcher from the University of Michigan is cited in the article. He found that hallucinations were present in 8 out of every 10 audio transcriptions performed by Whisper. Yeah, it's even more concerning when, as you said, it's being used in the healthcare profession. It's pretty pervasive there. So, and again, in this case, the hallucination topic has been beaten to death, but in this case, we're talking about where OpenAI, the Whisper tool, is taking audio that has been recorded from a meeting with a patient, for example, where the doctor's talking, the patient's talking, they're talking about symptoms, they're talking about medications, they're talking about diagnoses. And then the AI is summarizing that. And in this case, hallucinations are coming into play where the model is spotting patterns that don't exist or creating outputs that are nonsensical. The article says some of them are downright ridiculous. You can put up with that to some degree in most scenarios, but when it relates to healthcare and capturing what a doctor says to a patient or the symptoms that are captured and then using that to follow back up with a customer and maybe change a medication or change a diagnosis. It's not something you don't want hallucination and healthcare. You don't want those two coming together. So yeah, this article got my attention for sure, and I hope that whatever challenges Whisper is having, they will address here in the near term.
Yeah. So I think this goes back to it. We talked about this a number of times, and I know there's been many articles on hallucinations. But it really comes down to the application and how you're using it to add those guardrails or that governance and to ensure that the output that you're getting from however you're leveraging AI or humans for that matter is what you're expecting. This is where we're expecting. We're expecting from taking audio that's being transcribed accurately to allow those diagnoses and those patient records to be accurately reflecting what was said and what the doctor wants to do with that particular patient. Because as you know, you go into a hospital, there could be multiple doctors working with a particular patient. They maybe had an accident, so there's broken legs, there's in trauma to their internal organs, and so you have different doctors who are making their notes, etc. And to have those randomly have hallucinations could be devastating for that patient's outcome. So yeah, interesting concept here. We don't want to sound the alarm again because it's already been sounded many times. Yeah. But the reality is that without governance in any of your production level AI implementations, you are going to put your customers, in this case patients, at risk for not necessarily having the outcomes you were expecting.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's get a little brighter and lighter now. So our next one is from Tech Funding News. The article is titled, Denmark Gets First AI Supercomputer, GIFON with NVIDIA. Here's how it will help. So the article is generally about NVIDIA and the King of Denmark at this event where they're turning on their giant AI supercomputer that was built in a relatively quick period of time with a bunch of very advanced hardware to help the Danish Center for AI Innovation. So yeah, What are your thoughts on this? I thought it was very interesting.
It's fascinating. My first question that came to mind was, what is Denmark doing leading the way with a massive supercomputer? Now,
They don't come to mind first, do they? As like a supercomputing powerhouse, but maybe they're trying to change things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super impressed with them and their forward thinking. Michael, the press conference where they basically flipped the switch and turned this thing on. I don't know if you saw it, but the King of Denmark, was there, and he made the comment, there's two kings in the room, and one is wearing a leather jacket. He was referring to the CEO of NVIDIA, so pretty funny comment. This, just answering that question, how are they looking to put this into use? The article talks about major advancements they're looking to make in life sciences, in climate research, and quantum computing. And as the article goes on, you keep hearing it go back more to green tech and green transition. That appears to be the biggest kind of objective, more so than, the others are also, important, but I think they are wanting to kind of lead the charge on leveraging technology to really, really make big improvements in sustainability and kind of green tech. This thing is powered by 1,528 NVIDIA H100 GPUs. Now, I haven't done the math. I don't know how much one of those GPUs cost. I imagine it's a pretty penny. But so this is,
It's good to be king, right?
it's good to be king and just write that check. It's amazing how much power this thing is going to have. They built the whole thing in like 6 months from the time they announced it to the time it's operational. And the data center that houses this runs on 100% renewable energy. That's pretty cool.
So they're looking at studying climate change and green energy and green usage, and they're putting their money where the mouth is. They're putting it in a data center that's run 100% on renewable energy. So to me, that's a great step forward, because as we just talked about, when you start implementing some of these large language models, they are quite CPU or GPU intensive, and a lot of power. So now you have renewable energy powering the research through these new hardware components.
And also the impact it can have on quantum is worth noting. And they mention quantum computing is kind of part of the objective here. I do think that's one of the next big disruptive technology layers that is upon us. And some companies and some countries are making more progress than others. I think that's it's a very interesting development. I think it will draw our attention to Denmark, maybe more so than we've put attention on it in the past. You and I have some colleagues that live there. So kudos to Denmark. They're leading the way. And by the way, they named their supercomputer Gefjon, which is a goddess in Danish mythology. So,
and I was unaware of that. My Danish mythology is a little off. So, but as we talk about different geographies, we're going to finish off today with a bonus for you. This one is an article that comes from The Independent out of the UK. The article's titled, "The Tiny British Territory That's Become a Surprise Winner of the AI Boom." Now, this is talking about a British territory with a population of less than 16,000 people that's got a very interesting claim to fame regarding AI. Tell us which country this is and what's their claim to fame?
Well, it's a tiny island in the Caribbean called Anguilla that I've never heard of. I hate to say that. I looked it up. I Google mapped it when I saw the article, and it looks beautiful. It's a, as you would expect, it's a scenic, beautiful island with incredible, blue water right around it.
This wasn't created by AI, right?
It wasn't created.
An actual island, right?
It was an actual place. But these guys got ahead of the curve, and back in the 90s, they were able to take control of the .ai internet address. And today, there are now more than 533,000 .ai web domains. So they're having to pay, domain registration fees to this little country that commandeered the .ai address. And it says in the article that their fees quadrupled last year to 32 million. So, and this income accounts for about 20% of their total government revenue. Wow, that's amazing. Man, they were, again, they were ahead of the curve and really, I think, jumped on this. And I don't know how this guy, Ram Mohan, he's their digital chief strategy officer, how he had the foresight to lead this and to get them in this position. But it's an interesting little side note that very few of us had any idea about.
Exactly. So the other part of that was very interesting is that up until pretty recently, they've been running local infrastructure in Anguilla to power the .ai domain through a single undersea internet cable. And they've decided to allow that to be outsourced to a broader, larger cloud-based company that does this for other entities that are government-based, allowing them to have a little more resiliency. But even till now, they've been doing this on a shoestring and allowing their economy then to be able to take a little boost from the AI craze. So this is really good for them.
Yeah. It reminds me of that commercial back in the aughts, the company that's going to start selling their product online, and they get their website up and they see like a couple of ticks and they're all like depressed. And then like a second later, it goes to like 100, and then it goes to 1,000. And they're like, what do we do? We can't fulfill, these orders. And so they go from like disappointment to freaking out a little bit. I don't know if the country of Anguilla ever got to the point of freaking out when they saw the AI boom, and especially with Gen AI, the rampant increase in .ai web domains. But again, let's give them the applause here. They were ahead of it, and they're benefiting, and they have a great source of revenue as a result.
They do. Well, like I said, interesting where these sources of revenue could come from in the AI boom. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. We have these 4 articles will be listed in our show notes. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, and you'll get access to all of our content, including our pulse checks every week, and a great new guest that we interview that can give you some really great information and insights. Till then, next time, talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Transform Now, the podcast from SS&C Blue Prism. You can find all of our episodes on your favorite podcast channel, as well as YouTube. To stay on top of the hottest topics in the world of intelligent automation, subscribe now. The future of work is here.